So, as we look at the NBA and we look at these new, uniforms, press conferences, let's get into some of the interesting things that have happened through. First, I want to talk about I like the uniforms, I like the people repping them, and I like how much, teams are going into themselves. You know how good some teams are looking. Like the Suns look really dangerous. As much as we don't like when three primary scorers play together, because there's only one ball really. Let's face it, it's looking scary to have those three players who can create their shot on their own. There is a clear power system, and all of them are good enough to play with each other. But if we're being honest, right? What we need to say and what we need to see from this media day is which player said which things about which, organizations. You saw Aiton, he was happy, and a player doesn't have to say something just to mean it. That's why when we look at a situation like DeAndre Ayton was so excited to be in the building, you know, and to be a Blazer, that he was just all smiles. He loves it being there, and that's a sign that his team obviously changed, and that his new situation is the one for him. But for a guy like, when we see a guy like probably Brogdon, which he didn't appear immediately, if I'm not mistaken, right? Now that he gets put into the Blazers franchise, he's a vet who's, I don't think he's gonna really play. So as we see a guy like Dame talk, Dame was very political, very serious, very diplomatic. But Dame just even saying like, you know, that he's not the best player on the team, or that he's him with his Bucks jersey taking in questions. When you see LeBron doing year number 21, not retiring, when you see guys like Chris Paul and the Warriors, right, it really becomes an experience of a, well, guys, this is like the next season happening right in front of our eyes. You see teams which looked very good, included the Suns, the Lakers looked very good with their new additions, and LeBron and AD, the way that they're going into the season, LeBron using number 23. The Warriors also looked very good, with Chris Paul. Obviously, they got rid of Jordan Poole. And when we see a team like Miami, Jimmy Butler was trolling. He went emo. If you guys didn't see, basically, Jimmy Butler put on like this super emo outfit, as he normally does, where he'll troll NBA Media Day. Last year he came in with those huge dreads. This year he came with like piercings and being emo, just so that the NBA has to put up this picture of him in Media Day. Like last year it got so bad that there was an infographic of Jimmy Butler, right? And what happened was that they put the 2K picture of him with the dreads on, just to throw off, the fact that his NBA Media Day picture, he had the dreads on, which is pretty crazy to say. And honestly, I think it's been a good media day. You see these players being happy in their trades. We had already seen some of them, like Kristaps and, guys who already had gone traded or moved teams, like Beal, already try on their jerseys and, talk about their excitement. But now you get to see everybody, and especially with the recent trades, I think eventually when the Celtics one comes out, I'm not sure if it's been out, I you will get to see Drew in the jersey. And honestly, when we really talk about, right, these teams in media day, we have to look at who are the players next season who we are expecting to be the best, and who are the players who we want to, give their praise to because of their new situations. Like first, I want to give praise to Drew Holiday, a guy who was traded from his team to a bad team for a superstar. He thought he was going to be a Blazer probably, and then he becomes a Celtic. Like Drew Holiday went through a trip that any person would want to go through. Like he's on another contender which needs him, they're going to give him a huge role. And he gets to keep being the player that he is. Today, we've really seen the fact that, you know, players are excited to be on their teams. It doesn't seem like any player who's not Jordan Poole is ready for next season. And I look at guys ready to go. You know, LeBron was talking about him being in his 21st year. And when you see stuff like that, you really say, the NBA is great. You know, it's filled with talent. It's extremely good. And when we look at the NBA as a whole, we just have to say, like, it's one of the best leagues in the world. And with media day, we could see how quickly an offseason could change the title odds. Like the Celtics and Bucks are number 1 and 2, right? Or 2 and 1, however you want to say. They're tied at the top. And they're both teams which this season gave each other players from each other franchises, you know? And which like a guy like Drew Holiday, who a year ago, 2 years ago, was competing with the Celtics and really fighting with them to be the number 1 in the East, are now again at the top with new moves that they made. And in my opinion, we have to look at that and say that the league is great and that next season is going to be a hell of a season. Like, we've seen the Dame trade. We've seen all these trades, and I'm ready for the season. That's another thing that happens, you know, with a team like the Suns or the Mavericks, where it's like, what are you going to be next season? You know, we saw you really be one of the teams which strive to be great. For the Mavericks, you know, especially where we see Luka and Kyrie, which try to figure out. And now they're going 100% in that with Grant Williams, with more players, and without Christian Wood. What are they going to do? You know, I'm really excited for this team next season as they're going to be able to show their abilities. I'm really excited for a team like Sacramento, which even though I didn't see them in the media day, I am excited for that team to see them, to see their jerseys because they were fire, and to see the way that they're going to stay good and win more this season. You know, we've seen a lot of teams come and go, but the Sacramento Kings look as legit as can be. And honestly, they're one of the teams which I just think that these teams, especially a team like the Nuggets, now need to game plan a lot more. Because this season of the NBA is extremely competitive. And this season, there's going to be nothing easy to come from it. You know, the championship, I don't think it's going to be an easy one. And I think that it's going to be one of these times where we really get to see just the NBA battle it out by each other, you know? And the reason why I say that is because we look at the playoffs next year, and do you know who's going to win? Right? Like, I'm pretty sure no one knows who's going to be the best next season. Like, yeah, we could talk all about how, you know, the Celtics and the Bucks and the Suns, but really no one knows exactly what they're going to be next season. And that just has to do with the fact that teams now have completely indulged themselves and have completely tried to go full in on their cores, you know. You see a guy like Chris Paul finally saying, I'm going to chase the championship with the best team, right? And you've seen other guys like Bradley Beal finally be like, trade me from this team, you know? And this has caused it to be a place where now we see these situations that happen where it's like, who's going to win each conference, right? I'm sorry, but I don't think I could tell you one team which is for sure going to win their conference. And that says a lot about the NBA. When there's this uncertainty about what we see, what we hear, and what type of things, you know, these teams do next season, right? What we have to look at is which team is going to end out on top. I'm not going to make any too early predictions, but I would think it would be the Celtics, as they seem the most ready for everything. But if we're being honest, we just need to have faith and enjoy the next season. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you want to see next season, and tell me what you believe about the next season NBA is going to be like.